He's back. What's the Satori, Patsy?
Guest appearance.
Finally he returns.
Yeah, return.
The king
he
is
keeps
back.
doing them without me. Keeps doing them without me. 5 minutes notice, like. But we're back with another What's the Satori.
Quick recap on the weekend. Like I said, it was going to be a busy one. It was a busy one.
Still
and here's the
feeling
recap.
it
Here's the
once
recap.
again.
Yeah, it's fucking Thursday and we're still not straight after it.
Weeks flying in. Because there was so much bank holidays as well. I don't know what day it is. Like, there was a couple of bank holidays gone, so.
There was one or two of them, wasn't there?
Throw them in on top of a couple of events across the weekend. You don't know where you are.
Yeah, so there's a lot of prep. There's a lot of prep for the events, wasn't there?
Yeah.
There's obviously we were running a kids, a teens, and an adults tournament on the Sunday, and then we had a bunch of people competing at them. So we had to do all the organisation work for the competition. We had to do the coaching work and stuff to prep for the competitors, and then there was other guys. But we'll start off Saturday. Saturday we were over at a silent tournament in Finglas. There was about 10 of them went to do it, but I think only like about 5 of them or something got matches or whatever.
7 in the end, yeah.
Or was it 7 in the end?
7 in the end got matches, yeah.
Nice.
And then the kids done really well out there, like all really performing.
Yeah.
Sportsmanship, that's what I noticed most about, because some of them were in divisions that were a little bit bigger than their weight. A couple of them moved up. And
That's what happens. A lot of time when there's a smaller tournament, there's no way around it. You're going to get matched with bigger people or you're not going to get a match.
And it seemed that when the bigger kids weren't getting their way or whatever, they started showing a little bit of aggression and maybe like, which is maybe normal as well, but yeah, sticking the head in and making sure that it's slamming down hard and stuff. And then our kids were just smiles on the faces and let the jiu-jitsu run through. So they've done really well.
Nice.
Out of 7, they came away 6 golds and 1 silver. So like, they all done really good. Like.
Yeah, very good. I was here doing the coaching at 11, then a bit of open matches getting it going at 12, and I was over, so I missed about half of it.
Yeah.
I walked in, man, I thought I was going to melt.
Yeah, it was hot. It was hot and loud.
Yeah.
Hot and loud.
But
yeah,
it was good. It was great to see the kids going well, like especially the smaller kids that have good technique. Like it's brilliant to see.
That's what I sent it to Gaz. I sent one of them to Gaz, was saying how's it going. I just had Thomas match. I sent. He goes blue belt match, basically a blue belt match. Like Thomas 9. Yeah, so
deadly, and that rolled well. Then we had to come back here. We were cleaning the place. So
the lads were cleaning.
Oh
the
yeah,
place.
sorry.
The
The lads were cleaning the place.
Cracked the whip a little bit after a job that should take an hour and a half. You're not here. Next thing is taking 4 or 5 hours and.
Yeah.
When you walk in, one of the lads is like, "What you think of me music?" Just press on the speaker, and there's tunes just pumping. It's just like, no, but they're getting it done. That's the thing about the events. Without the lads in the gym and everyone throwing in their hand and putting their little touch on it, it wouldn't run anyway. So
yeah, most definitely.
Whatever
music. There's a lot going on. Like people wouldn't even think that, but you show up and the place looks clean enough. It took 8 people 4.5 hours to get it that good.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of little things behind stuff that you wouldn't even realise.
And then even the medals, like getting the medals ready and getting them, and then like making sure all the areas are right, and then making sure that the correct kids are on the correct area and that it's not going to run over the time given, and line it all up. So Giannis on the smooth comp doing it. Look, he's good at maths.
Not good at maths at all, man. He's doing his he's got just under 2 weeks left in college now in his final. What's he? He's 20 years old, or is he 20?
Just gone 20.
He's just gone 20, and in 2 weeks or less than 2 weeks he'll be finished. He's so qualified, it's ridiculous. Like he's the assistant kids coach here, and he's more qualified than most coaches in the country. Like it's a lot of experience as well.
Sports,
in multiple sports, like multiple different, and exposure to teaching such a variety of people, special populations, everything. Like
he really has it down. So we've got some nice plans for Giannis now across the summer, and then.
But understandable if he didn't get the work done as fast as we hoped, because he was fucking flat out with all that stuff. Like.
Yeah, and he's always doing too much as well. Final exams, working a job, and making sure he's doing all the rest. So he's doing a great job. So Saturday night we finished up. Even actually, me and Giannis were doing still amendments till on and off till about 10 o'clock Saturday night. Then Sunday kicked off. So Sunday we had the National Children's League round 5, we had the Teens Jiu-Jitsu League round 5, we had the grassroots at 11, and then Midlands Open was on, and was Team Ireland training on that day?
Yeah,
and
I forgot about that.
Team Ireland training was on that day as well. So we just had lads like
everywhere.
dispersing out of the building. It's everywhere.
Yeah, it was so funny. Like I pulled up, we were leaving here about 8 o'clock, although 1 or 2 people were late. And we're tearing out of the building. And it's just like everyone's coming in for the kids comp, and we're just tearing out the other way for another comp in the middle of the country. Like it was crazy. It went really, really well. But I think on that the teens comp, it was the first time we held the teens comp, and it's because it's such a weird thing. Like when I was saying it before, but there's so many kids doing the kids comps, and like you go whatever from ages 4 or 5 all the way up to 15. Then you can compete. Like we do about 6 of them a year, give or take, between all the ones. Like it's mad though, even in that area, only like say maybe 3 years ago or 4 years ago when we were holding the Dublin Open, like we had the kids every year at the Dublin International Open, and some years that'd be the only time that the kids got to compete. So it's bonkers that now they get to do all our 6 events, and then there's
the Midlands.
There's a couple in the Midlands, 1 or 2 out on the East Coast sometimes. So you're talking about maybe
12, 15,
10, 12, 15, something around there. So it's great. Like approximately you might get to do 1 a month, which is unreal. But like if kids are doing that and they're getting to compete that amount, and then they hit 16, now you get to do nearly no comps.
Yes.
It's so strange.
And
like
you can see
I'm
it,
17.
and it's funny enough, but you can see it in the teens class that they're starting to, because competing is such a part of their, as John's saying, is such a part of their upbringing they're coming, so it's part of their training. And then bang, 16, no competitions, and they're not getting stimulated, they're getting a little bit fed up, really. They are.
Yeah, and like, it's a very not dangerous, but it's a very sensitive time for people in development. But that's when so many people start getting influenced by other negative parts of society and stuff. So
you need to keep them stimulated.
You need to keep them
and
stimulated.
Like that's why I was saying to a few of them, like, oh, are you going to come to the next tournament? They're like, oh, what, we gonna go McDonald's? And because they didn't get matches to the tournament we went to, and then they got, and I was like, no lads, I'm not bringing you to McDonald's, I'm bringing you to a tournament. So they're just getting at that stage where there's like, here, is there a tournament on or not? So we were like, right, we'll put on from 15 to 17 the teens league. Doesn't matter what belt you are, it's white, grey, orange, yellow, green, blue, all the way up, and you register in the right division, and if no one registers in your division, we'll put you in multiple divisions and get you multiple matches. And it went pretty good, didn't it?
Yeah, most definitely.
We had teams over from England, was the first time. We had blue belts over from England, and like a lot of the guys got to fight them, and they were happy out with that.
Definitely, yeah. I think that just cements how important it is to drop off, and how important it is to have a resource or an outlet for the people that are that age. And another thing, like Pat was mentioned there, you put in what a belt you are, and then we'll see what we can do in the day. Because a reason why a lot of people don't get to compete is the rule set is, if you are a white and grey belt, if you're 15 you're white and grey belt, then when you hit juvenile, which is 16, you compete at blue belt, and there's fuck all of them around to compete against. So on the system, on the IBJF website, the recommendation is, if you've trained, and regardless of your ability or whatever, it's just you've showed up consistently 2-3 sessions a week, and for 6 months you're a grey and white belt. And likewise, if you're a child that started training when you're 5, you're not allowed to get a blue belt until you're around that age as well, 15, 16. So if someone with like 6 months of experience who might be okay, and going against someone who might have 10 years of experience, it might be unbelievable. Like,
it really
so
it's
just a weird gap in the system, the overall system. It favours the countries that have a much more established
grassroots, all the way
much more established setup of the sport. Like, we're still reasonably new to the sport relative to a lot of other countries, so we're at a disadvantage in that area, and then that leads to a lot of people putting their kids in at the belt that they're not, or just not putting them in at all. So hopefully by just putting all the kids in together, if need be, at that age group, will open it up a little bit and give people a chance. So that's the hope. So fingers crossed it works out that way.
I think it will work out pretty good, because it was the first time we had teens over from England, because they seen it, and they brought over, they seen the amount of registration. They said, at least we're going to get matches here. And one of the teens, he was 16 minus 58 kilos blue belt, and we have one lad in the gym, and 15-year-old minus 58 kilos grey belt, so we matched them two together. They had a great match, and then his coach came over then at the end and said, like, when is the last time you have rolled against someone your own weight? And they were like, can't remember, we're never in the right division. He was like, do you want to come over here to the side, and we'll just do rounds and training, and we'll use this as a training day as well, because yous are never, well, until you meet each other again, and that blue belt had been competing in multiple years. So over they came to the side, the coach overlooked it, and they were sparring for 20 minutes, so they were really happy. But it was funny that he had to come from England to get another guy that's 56 kilos to get a fair match going. So if lads are willing to travel, it's not just a problem in Dublin and Ireland. It's a worldwide problem.
Yeah, most definitely.
So and then so that was the teens, and then the adults one really well.
The kids, well, the kids first of all, like sure, we were hoping to have over 10 people competing on the Saturday, and ended up being 7 or so. Then the kids, how many of them were competing?
It was 48 registered. I think
so 48 out. That's out of our club, obviously. Out the whole.
I think 40 showed up, but the kids. It's always going to be like, it's always, no matter. Usually 1 out of 6 mightn't make it for whatever reason. It's just kids are just very just like they had a fever the night before. They wake up, they're on the iPad all night. Who knows what it was? But you're always going to miss a couple on competition morning. That's why it's important for communication between the club and the parents. Just a quick text message and stuff, because there's nothing worse on competition day when there's 200 kids there running around and you're like, is Johnny here? And it can be a little bit like so. No, so I think about 40 of them showed up on the morning, and
that's what was mainly, I was saying beforehand, like the task in front of us. Like, well, we've done it so many times, like we're doing it so many times a year, and we've been doing it for so many years that we've got the hang of it. But like, just to go to show, we had potentially 10 kids that were going to compete on Saturday, close to 50 on Sunday. There was somewhere between 10 and 15 adults. Then you had 4 or 5 down in the Midlands, and another 3 or 4 at the squad session. Like, just on the sheer scale of it, it's bonkers.
Even of them being being over them competing is a job in itself. So
it's a huge job to try to make sure everyone is well prepared, everyone has a good account of themselves, everyone has a good experience. All of it, like, and
after the competition, then feedback for them, and without our assistant coaches, we'd be struggling there.
Just the whole structure that we have within the clubs, everyone that comes together makes part of everyone that helps train with them. Everyone that
we're getting more coaches though down at the leagues, because like we usually have 4. We usually have like 4 coaches at the leagues, and we're like sprinting left, right. So next league we're actually going to put in another 2 of our assistant coaches in, so we'll have a coach at every area, because that's the scale it's gotten to. It'll just be their job solely just to stay at that area to coach, because it's more important than making money, more important than being seen, to have a great tournament. The kids' actual experience is what's important, most important to us anyway. So like, it can mean a lot, like and we don't miss a lot of matches, like, but if you miss one match and God knows what happens in that match, and the kid has a bad experience and then goes to the dad, and maybe the dad doesn't know what jiu-jitsu is, doesn't know what happened, and that could be enough for the kid. Not going on Monday, I'm sick. Next thing, it's next Monday, and something so small can cause such a detrimental effect. So you just want to like polish off all areas. So
most definitely. So big effort, and it's a very regular effort now in that area by the coaches, by the club, as it were, club effort, but then also an organisational effort like that. The kids comps just keep getting bigger and bigger, and understandably so. Like, it's such a great sport, and so many kids are getting into it bit by bit.
And it was really nice. Like, that's the 12th one. That's the 12th or the 11th league we ran. We ran 4 or 5 other kids tournaments. We're probably coming up on about 20 tournaments. But like, there is no more. Well, now I wouldn't say no more, because there's always 1 or 2, but there's very little animosity. Like, and it's the rule kind of everyone wanted, but everyone was like saying it and no one was doing it. But like, now everyone is kind of on the same vibe. They're there for the kids. There's no like go. It's all kind of, it's just a good atmosphere. Everyone, it's kind of, we're not just here for our kids now, we're here for kind of everyone's kids, and everyone's kind of on the same mindset. So it's a lovely atmosphere now. No, very little kids crying, no parents arguing with the refs. Little bit of feedback to the desk if there was a bit of a judgment or whatever, but it's gotten to where we wanted it to get. Like, so it was really, really nice just to have it about the kids, not just about people going purple in the face roaring over nothing. It's just, and it's the same in all sports, so we're getting there. We're getting there.
Most definitely. But it's great to see it getting there, and obviously like you specialised in that area. It must be about 10 years since you started teaching kids, was it? In the ABCs and stuff, like when you're driving from Malahide to up and down the motorway, like
the Civic full of and a Honda Civic full of kids equipment. It's surreal when you think about it. But I would have done most of my like the class planning, where I would have learned a lot of stuff, like when I was class planning for that company, would have been 2009. It would have been 2009, 2010.
And we were already coaching karate before that. Well, not coaching, sorry, assisting with the classes. Like, you'd have a class group of 20 or 30 people, and they'd split. Remember, Julian used to split the classes. Like, all right, Pat, you have those 4. John, you've got those 4. Just keep an eye on them, give them pointers and stuff. But that's 10 years ago they started full time doing it. Like,
Yeah, it's
goes
mad,
to
like,
show.
it really is long period of time. But it goes so fast as well, like, but it's not like oh, what I was doing then I'm doing now. It's ever like literally we just had a conversation before we started this podcast about the kids syllabus. Like, we're still with the same problems, still with the same hopefully passion to keep it driving on, because it's just ever changing, ever changing, and the way you teach kids is changing, and then even the way society is changing kids to the way you have to teach kids, and then like everything has to be fast now because it's always screen, and like it's funny because we're down at the competition and there's kids literally like playing Fortnite on the phone and they're being called for their name and they're literally like hand to the dad, go. It's like everything is fast, like
that's
so
mad, isn't it?
It is mad, like so we don't want to run our classes at a super but we're trying to different
change
ways to
times,
keep them stimulated, like the days of standing on the line, and if you're not listening to me you're in trouble. It's you're gonna struggle, like so.
Yeah, I'm sure a lot of people still do it that way though. But so, it's times are changing, and we're like our understanding of the sport keeps improving as well. Obviously, like when we started,
actually getting all right at jiu-jitsu now. 10 years in.
Trying. But it's a mad thing because the sport is still so much more developed in some other countries, and then how to coach children is still so underdeveloped as well. And then there's so many areas.
Do you coach them the basics and the fundamentals, or do you coach them the worm guards and all the stuff that's working, and then what's most important? And then all right, well that kid isn't going to compete, so teach him basics, and then it's just okay. He's been training 3 years, but he's 7, but he's not teaching basics anymore. We'll have to move him on. It's just everything in one. Like, I suppose that's why you keep doing it.
It was a mad old effort, and then the MMA, like we had it
huge.
It's getting there bit by bit.
John G's effort. I've had no part to play in it. Like it's all John G on the MMA. But it's literally it's grown in the last 3 months. It's tripled in the last 3 months.
Yeah, it's getting there. Well, we were leaving it for a while because we just had a situation where there's so many handbags coming into it. You know, that skill, like, oh, I want to be a fighter. People coming in the door and they're like, oh, how will I get into the UFC? And you're like, all right, well, let's do a training session first, maybe. Then they do one session and never come back. So with progress from there,
it was worth. Like, we have statistics on it, but like for every 10 lads that came through the door to do MMA, and there's nothing wrong with MMA lads, don't get me wrong, but a lot of them didn't stay around. Whereas if you have 10 lads to come through the door for jiu-jitsu, a lot of them are sincerely want to train and get better. It was just a different kind of gimmick,
different area. But anyway, we get there, and then we were down. There was 4 of the guys competing down in the Midlands in MMA, and all made a good account of themselves. I think it was 2-2 they went. So it was pretty good. Even the matches well, I suppose both the matches the guys won and the matches that the guys didn't win, they're close enough matches, which is brilliant. You don't want it too one-sided either way. And the guys didn't take much damage at all, really, which is brilliant. Career. And then a few of the guys that were that bit more experienced were in at the squad training. That was out in Finglas as well, and that was I think there was like 40 or 50 people out.
I've seen the photo. Like there was loads.
Yeah, which is brilliant because like remember about like 6 or 7 years ago, a similar thing in jiu-jitsu. So I was telling the guys here, make the most of it now because you never know, it might not last forever. Make the most of what chances are in front of you now.
Like the Team Ireland,
it's great to see. Like
now, in comparison to what they were in jiu-jitsu, it's just nothing in comparison to what they were.
There just is none.
There is none. Yeah, well, we're doing our open mat on Saturday, and that'd be like there's 100 people going to that on Facebook. So like,
we'll see. We've been getting a lot of different clubs dropping in for that, so that's great. So hopefully that keeps going. But that was the MMA portion of it. So, and then of course there was the clean up after the event as well, and all that.
See how fast we got it done.
We
clean up after the event was.
We were in work mode and we got it done.
Yeah.
But I mean, it was just I knew beforehand it was going to be a huge effort and a testament to the club to be able to have that many people competing in that many areas and that many parts of the country. You know, like it was spread so thin, and generally you don't want to be fighting on so many fronts. But I knew we could do it, and we made quite a good account for ourselves. Like everyone done well. A lot of people, even especially in the adults, they were first timers competing too, and it was great to see. And then that was the club structure, and then on the organisational competition structure, like to have that many comps that we were running.
It's like we're running like 200 kids matches on a Sunday morning. We're finished by 12. Well, there's 200 competitors.
Yeah.
A lot of them were getting 3 matches, so we just say 600 kids matches and run them in 3 hours. No time delay, no complaints, no injuries.
What really hit me, because like obviously when you see that, and then if we do that every 2 months, then it kind of becomes the norm, which is brilliant. But we had more competitors in here on Sunday than we did the first time we ran the Dublin International Open. So that's what kind of hit me in terms of size. Like the first time we done the Dublin International Open would be it'd be 7 years ago this Christmas, and that was the biggest tournament ever in the country at that stage, you know. And then it went back and forth between
365.
That one was 265, the first one. And so then we went back and forth with Barry Leam that were running comps as well. They'd have the biggest comp in the summer, and then we'd have the biggest comp in the winter, and it would just keep growing. And even our second Dublin International Open, I think it was 300 and something, but we had probably as many competitors here as we did, like as the biggest comp ever in the country was 5 years ago. So for that to be the norm that we're banging out now every 2 months is ridiculous. It's ridiculous. And I think it's good because of the setting. Like it's not so formal as like an arena and stuff, and of course it's cheaper. The early reg was €28 for the adults, and it was more or less that the whole time. And it's €25
I think if it goes
at the very end. But say 28. Most people will get it for 28.
For that as well, like we're just making sure, like obviously it's a fully insured event, like the best mats you can roll on. Like the refs trained as best as we can have them, and then the medals, like the medals, we're giving out similar medals than.
The thing is, like the refs are going to be the same that you're getting a big event, more or less. Like the medals are the same. The matches, you'll get more matches, and you'll get it for a fraction of the price. And so it's a no-brainer.
Any of the other gym or grassroots ones that we're going to, like the medals are like GA medals, you know, like they're little ones, 50 cent a bag, like, and so the guy makes the 20 quid off the reg or whatever. But we're actually making sure that we try to give the best experience on the day across all areas.
But I think it is a similar experience to what you get at a big comp, because we see a number of comps now that are going to work out close to about 100 quid to do, and like half the people are going to lose their first match, and that's it. Like we're running reprecharge format, so you're going to have, once there's enough people there, at least 2 matches, and everything else is the same. The people you're competing against, like if you're a white belt competitor and you're going to a comp in Ireland and you're paying 100 quid for it, you're probably fighting the same people that you're fighting at any of the other competitions in the country.
Whether it's for
and you're just paying 4 times as much for it.
What was that one that you done up the north? That maybe you had 9 matches, the hardest medal you ever done? Remember that one little tiny medal there? It was one of your first tournaments.
Oh yeah, it was up in Evolve, wasn't it? It was up. It was right up the top of the country.
Wasn't
yeah.
It? And like at the time,
that was good.
I remember you saying like in there in Evolve, you got more matches and harder matches in there in the day than you had anywhere else in the country or in Europe at that time.
Yeah, I fought some guy who was a 5th dan in traditional jiu-jitsu, and he was trying to burst my spine. He had his hands in underneath it with his thumb sticking out underneath from side control, and he was like trying to break my spine or something.
Maybe
it's like, I got you, and I was like, what? Got out anyway. No, he didn't get me, man. I got out with her. But it was good to see, like, if someone with that much grappling experience and you get to go against them.
So what I'm saying is, just because the platform has something on it doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to deliver on the day. Like we've gone to
times are changing.
Tournaments,
times
like
are changing.
Paid huge amounts of money, and then there'll be 3 in the bracket, 2 in the bracket, 4 in the bracket. You're like,
man, we went to the Nogi Worlds and the Euros there at the end of the year, start of the year, just gone. So whatever, like 6 months ago. And like, how much was, I don't know how much it was, but you say approximately $2,000 or slightly more to do both of those 2 comps. I got 1 match. They're 28 quid here for 2. You know, in comparison, because it was stupid. I thought I could out wrestle a good wrestler, got suplex, burst my spine, then couldn't compete at the Euros. So I got $2,000 for a match. You know, 28 quid here, and use your noggin. Use your noggin. And
then with IBJJF, with Grapple Industries, with NAG all on the horizon, the time is now to get the matches in, to get your gym matches in, and then if you want to go to the big stage, pick 1 or 2 of them ones as we're doing, or all 3.
Yeah, because it used to be a case that I remember the first time I done the London Open, I think it was 2012, and I got gold there, and it was like, I was just thinking about it, not how important is that, but I did, because it was blue belts. I was like, really, what the fuck does it matter if you won a comp at blue belt or not? It's when you win them at black belt that it matters. But I was trying to put it into perspective how important it is. And there was fuck all people with IBJJF medals at that stage. You know, so it was an achievement. But now there's so many of the competitions on, and so many divisions are so small, it doesn't matter a fuck if you win that comp or not, really.
Medal, it isn't what it was like.
Yeah, now if you win the Euros or something, like, that's fair play to you there. But even at the same time, if you didn't win at black belt, you didn't win at black belt. You know. But what I was trying to say was,
that's just down to people and their personal goals as well, though, isn't it? Like, it's what they want to achieve.
Yeah. But I'm just saying, if I won the Europeans at blue belt, which I did, you didn't win at purple belt, did you? you know. That's just how I think of it, like, each their own. But yeah, so like those competitions, there wasn't the opportunity to do them. Like when that year, I think that might have been the only comp in Europe, IBJF, that wasn't the Euros.
Yeah.
And now there's so many of them. It's not the same as it was. It's not like you have to go there and do that comp to do well. Like there's so many opportunities. Like even like some years, like there was only 2 decent comps, or not decent, but big enough comps here. There was, we'd run, like I was saying, we'd run the Dublin Open in December every year, and then Barry Lean would run one in May, June, give or take, and that'd be it. There might be 1 or 2 smaller ones, and that was it. But now there's like we were saying, with the amount of comps that are on, there's one like every 2 weeks or something. It's crazy. So just the opportunities that are in front of people, and that was the point I was trying to bring it back to. Like we were pushing so hard just to try to get a medal that really wasn't that important, to be honest, in the grand scheme of things. But obviously we have to get somewhere, and someone has to try push the ball forward a certain point. But now we've gotten to the stage where even just domestically, the opportunities in front of people, the training, there's 100 clubs in the country. You know, there's so many black belts. Like when we started off, like, and like, not to say it, like, it sounds like we're old time or something, but there was fuck all black belts around. Like it was a big deal when 20, even before that, when JK got his black belt, John Kavanagh, like that was a big deal. Like, oh shit, we got a black belt in the country. And then Tony came over, and that's when we kind of started. There was John Kavanagh and there was Tony, and I think Andy was after that one, maybe. Yeah. But it was in around that time. So that's only like 8, 9 years ago or something. It's not in terms of a sport, in terms of a country, that's nothing. And to go that different now, that many clubs, that many people doing it, that many children doing it as well, which is the future of it. There wasn't that at the start when we started. And just to see the difference that it's come to now, and then finally, you know, it's like when someone kind of runs that 4-minute mile, it's like, oh, it's impossible to do, and then someone does it, and then it just starts happening all the time. We saw that, I believe, possibly we saw that with Tom Halpin at the ADCC qualifiers, like, and to see like he came from, you know, a club that wouldn't have won, like, well, none of the Irish clubs really would have won a huge amount internationally, and then he just steps up and wins the ADCC qualifier. It could be that just becomes the norm now, and there's no reason why it shouldn't. So I think just...
He's done a very good interview. Did you see that 3-minute interview on it?
No.
Very good interview on Tom, and they're just like, how did you win it, basically, you know, and he's just saying from where he comes from, the approach he came against, and he's just saying him and Grode, basically, like.
Was he saying that?
More or less.
I got Tom Halpin one time on the train.
We cornered him on the train in Cali.
We got him I think it was Lisbon, and we cornered him. Grode was there, and we got the information out of him anyway. So I know all the ins and outs of that interview already. But it just goes to show, and I will have a look at that. But I probably know exactly what's on it already.
Well, we cornered Ryan on the train somewhere.
Yeah, we got Ryan. They're pushing him around a bit. Give us the info. Give us
your book. He puts out his book of notes. Give us the book.
He had the book of notes and all with him, like all the secrets. Yeah, we were bartering prices for notes, and not joking, like seriously, we were bartering prices to get some of those notes off him.
But he's very knowledgeable and very open with his knowledge as well. So sound boys, that's funny stuff.
Yeah, but I just mean, it seems to be like we've got a very good thing going in the club organisation thing. We've got a good thing on the organisation of tournaments, and domestically there's a very good thing going as well. So I think we're very close to a tipping point where a lot of good shit's going to happen over the next 5 years, whatever. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, very forward to it.
So
what's up next? July 27th, grassroots or National Children's League Open. Yeah, so we're getting the five stepping stones for the Open. The Open is on last weekend in July, I believe it's the 27th. We're going to run it on Sunday, right?
It'll be all over the Facebooks anyway, so have a look at it.
And National Children's Open in the National Sports Campus. I think it's important, especially for kids that are thinking about going to these junior Europeans, going all over, that they deserve the chance to compete in at least.
Our venue's better, man.
Yeah, but that's what I mean. They deserve the chance to compete in the country's best venue. So it'll be up there. It's a phenomenal event, venue. The roofs, ceilings are so high. The kids are just taken back, and it's a good tournament. Championship belts and medals for the
division
winners.
And also the same mats. It's the same mats that they've been competing on coming through the league. So it's
kind of too freaked.
Yeah, so it helped them settle into it.
Yeah. So looking forward to that one, really. And there's summer SmackDown.
Yeah, there's going to be so much stuff over the summer. There's always some SmackDown, and then like just in terms of training, with so many people finishing up college or secondary school or whatever, in the club here, it's going to be flat out. We got daytime sessions, 12 o'clock Monday to Thursday now, which will really suit people.
Kids morning classes, they won't stop, so we're going Tuesday, Thursday morning at 11 from the start of summer. We'll be training them. Yeah, well, they're just like we want to train, so it's just open kids, so from beginners to teens, whatever kids want to train Tuesday, Thursday morning are welcome to train 11 to 12, and then the adults, most of them will probably stay for adults as well.
Yeah,
they're starting to get very comfortable around the club, aren't they?
Yeah,
some of the kids are just here
leave
all the time, all the time, and it's good because they're talking
not
to
on the street. Man.
Yeah, enough of them out there. So we'll still be here doing what we do as best we can.
See you at the top, folks.
See you at the top.
Cheerio, though.